people hear
We should be live from Saturday night, or New York.
Live
Tuesday
from
afternoon.
Saturday night. It's New
New
York.
All right. Well, welcome YouTubers to our Disc Golf Answer Man. We'll do the official intro here in a minute, but we'll let people kind of trickle on in.
Trickle.
Live show. It looks
Maybe
like we
trickle
are
into
live.
Trickle into our Zoom video.
In our Zoom video. Yeah. Yeah. Eric mistakenly put our Zoom link out there for the world to see, but
Figured everybody wanted to come say hi.
Let's hang out.
That's kind of the problem.
How's everybody doing in YouTube land? In the YouTube land.
YouTubing.
Finished my 5th round of shoveling just in time. Jeez.
What,
Yeah, I
for
saw
more
a lot
snow?
of people. A lot of people saw got some snow. Yeah,
Dang.
Maybe they have a
Finished
pet
round 5.
elephant.
Maybe that. Yep.
could be.
Hey,
Hope y'all be good. Hey yo, what's up, Tanner? Right, Rising M Disc Golf. We live again. Glad we're doing
Anybody in chat tuned into the updates with Rusco yesterday?
it.
That was pretty cool.
Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hello.
Is it there?
I love some live DGAF. You got one letter wrong, unless you're
Maybe it's the
making
game fan.
Wait.
Yeah, or disc golf is
Or don't give never mind.
yeah.
14 inches. Jeez.
I can't imagine living.
Somebody
with
from
14
Stockholm
inches.
on Facebook.
Did Nico do the update on the bag yet? No, he's probably going to do it on Thursday because we had to ship it out to him, so he should get it today or tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for his social media.
Eric, I believe there's an angel outside your window trying to
I
get
know,
your attention
right?
real quick.
how's that? Is that better?
That's better. Yeah. It's some serious God rays. It looked sick. I wouldn't.
It's like.
Zoom.
I think your window has a quest for you to go pick up.
So, I'm down. Who wants to go on an adventure?
I'm down. This guy.
All right, we good on Facebook too?
Can we find a way to do uncomfortable Rusco close-ups when the Rusco update is done remotely? No.
No.
Sorry.
No, we cannot. But when we're back in our studio, we'll be able to do some uncomfortable. We'll do a lot of uncomfortable.
That was so
close-ups.
funny. Dude, we got to have Jenny Margaritas again.
Oh gosh, I'm not gonna say no.
That was sick.
I will not say no to
Legitimately,
some Jenny margaritas.
It was as big as my head. It was huge and
And
delicious.
Danny's got a huge head. Just so we're all
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So for reference,
Yeah,
was
like
ginormous.
Yeah.
I could barely fit through doorways, guys. My ego is through the roof.
That's funny.
It's not from being smart. We all know I'm dumb, but like
Marcus
it's the ego.
Pennington says he wants to design a course with you, Eric.
Let's do it. When are we doing it?
Course sales at dynamicdisc.com. Get the ball rolling. You never know what could happen.
I think that was the quest coming through the window.
Oh,
Ding.
boy, I
She
shut that
has
down.
merchant to design.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
I'm going to hit record on this so we can grab the audio.
Udio.
All right, we're recording. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby Cool, Daddy Slick Breeze, and we are here with me and Eric McCabe,
What's up?
Anthony Vanden Heuvel,
Hey.
and Danny Lindahl. We have the whole crew here. We, of course, doing this via Zoom. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see that. But if you're listening, we are still doing remote recordings for the Disc Golf Answer Man. We are starting our move into our new warehouse starting this Thursday. It's going to take about a week or so, but the media crew won't actually be into the new space until closer to April. They're actually building us a fancy little studio, so I'm excited to have the new Disc Golf Answer Man show there and a lot of other fun studio stuff once we get that into place. So super excited about that. So what is it? It's still Tuesday, yeah, right? I've totally lost track of my days. How was y'all's weekend? Get any disc golf in? Get to do anything exciting? Get to play, hang around any players or what?
The players were in town. That was sick last week.
Right.
On Saturday, I tried to go to IKEA, but it turns out that this is actually the week after a lot of people started their classes at college. And so there was a line out the door of IKEA.
Really?
So yeah,
Really?
I didn't end up going to IKEA, but had a good weekend.
Was there a sale or just a run on desks?
I think people just
They
people
have
just
really
want
good
stuff for their
Swedish
dorms.
meatballs. I know
Yeah.
that.
Oh, the
Yes.
meatballs. Yeah, that's a good point. Hadn't considered that.
Or the Swedish meatballs.
It was
for
like
sure.
3 p.m., but everybody's that's
Hey,
perfect
yes.
time for meatballs.
What time is that in
Right.
Sweden though? Because that's the important part.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
Danny seems like an IKEA shopper. I'm Swedish, of course.
So me and Anthony hung out on Saturday. We hung out with some of the players. We did some a photo shoot in the new warehouse. So
Mhm.
I've been seeing some samples of those photos, and they're looking really good. So I'm super excited about people seeing those photos in ads and just different type things, stuff like that. And then we filmed the duel before what day would we do the duel? Friday. So we've got
Thursday.
that. Was it Thursday?
I thought it was Thursday.
It may have been Thursday. And then Friday we did some in the bag filming. Now we do it a condensed in the bag. So, but make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube so you catch all those videos once we put that out. I want to remind everybody that Veterans for Vets is still happening and will continue through March. And just a reminder that the Players Pack comes with 2 discs. And as a TD, if you run one, you get to choose between a Dynamic Discs Classic Blend Judge, a Latitude 64 Zero Soft Pure. Why are you shaking your head?
What?
Is that right or wrong?
No, that's right. I'm just waiting until you get to the part where it's a putter that I use.
Oh, see. I was like, I got this right off the website. So anyway, you can have a DD Classic Blend Judge, a Latitude 64 Zero Soft Pure, or a DD Prime Warden.
That's the one you want to
that
go
Anthony
with.
was waiting
That's
for.
yeah. That's the one.
So that's the putter that you'll get to choose from. Either as a TD, you pick those, or obviously as a player, you'll have one of those to choose from. For the non-putter, you get a Latitude 64 Opto Sapphire, or a Westside Discs VIP Harp, or a DD Fusion Sheriff. There's still plenty of time to run an event. You have until through March to be able to run an event. So make sure you check all that information at veteransforvets.com. I got a couple of emails on some Veterans for Vets that were ran. I can't remember where they ran, but they were very successful, raised a lot of money. And I'll post stuff like that on social media so you can kind of see how that's helping local veterans organizations in your area.
And there's a big one going down at the farm on February 20th.
That's
Oh, cool.
right. Yep,
think so,
February
yeah.
20th.
It's
So-
huge.
Oh,
it's gonna
I
be
saw
massive.
Isaiah just played down there with Ron Khan. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet, but that is an epic course. I'm looking forward to checking that out
I
Yeah.
love it. It's one of my favorites.
for sure.
As a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you're always notified when we go live and when we upload a new video. You guys ready for the questions?
Actually, I don't know
so.
if you guys noticed. This is one of Robert's old shirts. He gave some away and sold some as he was moving. So I feel especially equipped right now to answer the question. Actually,
I can
got a
just go ahead and
vest or
mute
something?
myself. for
Got a
that.
wig? Got a wig?
no. Now I'm especially
There
well
it
equipped
is.
to
Especially,
answer
there
the
you
question.
go.
Yeah,
Put some,
we're
put some
good.
Sharpie down your jaw.
Nah,
like
no,
on your
Put it in
chins.
that.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
negative.
you're halfway.
All right. As always, send your questions into discgolfanswerman.com. Look for that submit your disc golf question tab. Send them in and we'll get them on the air. The first one is from Aaron from Mass. Hey, DeGam fam, I've been playing for just over a year and I got my first ace the other day, 380-foot dog leg right.
Dang.
I
Dang.
used my Latitude 64 Heavy J to throw it straight out the gap and turn right for a long time before it faded barely and right into the basket. I love my Heavy Jade. Had to get the heavy version because I can't throw light. And it's my ace disc, but now I'm getting better. It's getting less predictable. I'm looking for something more consistent to replace it. I have an escape, but I was looking for more turn. What are y'all's suggestions?
380 is a long ways for the first ace.
The Jade is
Yeah,
crushed.
my first ace was like 197 or something. It was not far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't thrown a Jade much. Do you think he means more turn like at the beginning of a flight or more
Yeah.
turn? Like some people say, come on, turn when they want it like to fade. Traditionally in a Southern accent as well, like that. So if he wants a disc that has more fade, I would say a getaway, especially if you're throwing a Jade 380.
A Jade 380 is sick.
Yeah.
And to
That's
throw it
really
in,
good.
Yeah.
380.
Also sick. But if you want a disc that has more turn than an escape, like at the beginning of its flight, more high speed turn, then like a Vandal is about
Vandal's
ideal.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
That might be actually a good like step up from a Jade too.
Or
Jade to
or
Vandal.
another jade.
That too. How common
Not
are the
that
heavy
way.
ones? I haven't seen
I
many
don't
of
know.
those.
I didn't even know we had heavy jades, to be honest with you. I know we had heavy sapphires.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
we
did
those
see
have
on
those.
heavy jades.
I saw those on
Those
the
are good.
auction page.
Nice. Oh, Hatchet, people are saying in the chat, and Fury. Those are all good ones.
Yeah.
Free.
Next one comes from Brian. This is on Ecoplastic. What is the release schedule looking like for your new Ecoplastic blend? I'm curious which molds are going to be run with it first and when consumers might expect them to become available for purchase. I've been hoping for something like this from a manufacturer for a while, and I'm very excited to be able to support Dynamic Discs Latitude 664 for being the first to pursue it. Thanks and happy holidays. So this was from back in December, and this was probably right after Jeremy did an update on some Ecoplastic that we have. I don't know if we've heard any specific dates on that, or at least we
No,
haven't.
I know that keep an eye. Here's the deal. I know that the EMAC Judge will be available in Ecoplastic for the Trilogy Challenge
Ooh.
in the future. And if you want to get something sooner, keep your eyes on the auction page, because we got the tester ones that we got in on those keystones will be available on that auction page here really soon. So make sure you go to that auction page, make sure you like it, and just keep an eye on there.
Cool. All right. Next one we have up is from John Mark. I listened to old episodes of the show while at work, and I've heard Bobby use some interesting and sometimes awkward nicknames when starting the show. Oh yeah, I used to do that.
That's right.
Give you all middle names, nicknames. What are some of the most memorable nicknames that Bobby has used over the years? Gosh, I don't even remember.
It's always like whatever shirt I was wearing,
always
or
something-
whatever I was doing that weekend, or
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't remember any of them.
Top of my
I don't
head.
either. And he says, even though it's a disc golf podcast, you inevitably seem to end up talking about Torchy's tacos. That is legit.
Naturally.
That is true. I have never had Torchy's, but I'm thinking of taking a road trip to Torchy's. What's the best city to go get Torchy's and play disc golf?
Anywhere
the
there's a
closest one
Torchy's.
to you, yeah.
Yeah, there is one. The original one
If
for
they have
me,
disc golf, then it's just a bonus.
right?
Right.
The original one for me was in Waco when we were at the Waco event, and so I was able to try it there. So if you're
That was
out
your
in
first
Waco,
time?
Texas, yep.
Nice.
I think that was my first, unless we stopped on the way, like in Oklahoma City or something.
I think my first was in Tyler, Texas. They have one there, right? Went down there for Piney Woods.
Yes, they
I
do.
think so yeah.
Probably.
Yes, the first time I had one was I was doing some in the bags with everybody, and Paige Pierce, I was supposed to do her in the bag, and she came up and she goes, "Can I come do it after we grab lunch? I'm starving." She says, "I'll even bring you a Torchy's taco," and I'm like, "Cool, bring me a taco." I didn't even know what it was, and when she brought it back, I was like, "Yes, this will be."
Go get me another one, and
Get
then
me
another one, and then
Yeah,
another
Just
one.
one.
The light through Emacs window shone, and it was
I
just
know,
a
yeah.
choir of
The
angels.
God rays. All right, next question comes from Drew. This is on form bag. Do you guys have any disc golf bags that aren't your course bags? I kept my 8-disc beginner set bag and put 4 copies of my putter and 4 copies of my stable mid in it. 20 putts and 20 throws are great warm up before a round for me, and then I go back to my car, grab my course bag, and start my round.
It's interesting. I mean, we have the fieldwork bag,
Yeah,
or the fieldwork pack. It holds like 40 something discs. I don't own one of those, but it's a great idea. And then the only other thing that I can think of is that little sniper bag that I have like on the back of my cart to hold extra discs and towels and whatever on play.
I'll switch my bag up depending on what course I'm going to. Like if I'm gonna go play Hammond or New Life or something like that, I may just grab just a trooper bag and throw some, or the old school sniper bag, the little shoulder bag, and just throw some discs in that. Or if I'm gonna go play Jones Gold or Country Club or Fountain Hills, I want a bag that has as many discs as I can fit in it. So I'll switch it up from that, but not like necessarily for the field. Now, if I'm going out and doing like a video or something like that, then I will just throw as many discs as I can and as many bags as I can. So, but no, mostly it's I keep it pretty simple.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Go ahead, Anthony. You were saying something?
I would just going off like what Eric said. If I'm going out to the field, I'll use my trooper. It's a little bit lighter, but it's not so light as like the cadet bag or the cadet shoulder bags, where I can carry enough discs where it's not like throw 5 times, go pick everything up, throw. I can still fit 20 something.
Yeah. Brian wants to know what makes Emporia a destination disc golf location.
Sounds like
For
Brian hasn't
us?
been here.
I know. I've
Uh-oh.
I've traveled to Emporia and even played around with Jeremy Rusco at Hammond Park. I had a chance to play the Jones Course, Peter Pan Country Club, all of which were great. What has made Emporia a destination? Is it just great marketing by DD? You're welcome.
We'll
I
never
mean-
know.
Is it the event formerly known as Glass One Open? You're welcome. The legendary win that makes almost any round more eventful than it probably should. Thank you for what you do, Bobby, Anthony, Danny, and Eric, and Robert too, I suppose. Well, you can't thank Robert anymore because he's gone, so we thank him.
We
no
don't
more.
know that guy anymore. Sorry.
Who's that? Who? Rob? I
Hmm?
don't know that guy.
Rob.
Oh, Bobby, they're probably talking to you just like formally.
Oh, yes. When I was in trouble when I was a kid, I was Robert. So maybe
Yeah.
I'm in trouble here. No, yeah, you named it all. That's all the things, people love seeing our courses on video, and then they want to come play the courses that they see people play on video. And then, of course, we talk about it all the time, how people are so welcoming to the disc golf community, and that just kind of spreads word of mouth. So
I think it's just, I'll be honest, I think it's the fact that you can't drive anywhere in our town without seeing a disc golf basket.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like there's baskets at schools, sororities, fraternities, everywhere. Every possible spot has a basket, and the community has just really embraced it. And I think just the way they open their arms for the disc golf community speaks volumes. And 100%, it's DD, and it's the history of the Glass One Open.
absolutely.
It's a huge concentration of championship level courses between like Country Club, East, and Gold, but there's also like a spectrum.
New Life.
Like
oh.
if you don't want the championship level courses, then there's courses like West, and then you can get to slightly easier with like Peter Pan. It's like a spectrum. So there's something for everybody, and they're all fantastic courses, and it's just all in one spot. So
Also, Jenny Margaritas at Casa Ramos.
that too. Oh my goodness, how did I
That's
forget
not a
that?
bad
Del Mar Mole
play.
tacos.
That
That too, yeah.
That's
All
why
right,
disc golf is so good. Big in
Danny has a disc golf tip for us this week. I believe you said you're going to talk about playing disc golf in the cold.
Yeah.
So I will turn my headphones off because I do not play disc golf in the cold. So I don't even.
Bobby, you
wanna
don't play disc golf.
Fair.
Okay, so if you know me and my disc golf game, I don't tend to play too much when it gets to be adverse conditions outside, but I have played before, and I have been out in the adverse conditions, and I've seen how a lot of better players than me. So if you guys have anything to add, feel free to chime in, as I'm inexperienced, but I still think I'm fairly well educated. The first thing I want to talk about is preparation. It's important that you prepare before you go out. You want to wear a lot of layers, obviously, so you can take them off. I have a heated vest that they like plug a phone battery into. It heats up.
What?
It's really cool. Oversized gloves are a great idea because you're going to want to take the gloves on and off pretty quickly. So you want to have big gloves so that your hand goes in there really easily. Plus that gives enough room for hand warmers as well. And I think I saw, didn't Derek Savory say to put hand warmers on the back of your hand, not on your palm, because that's where like all your blood vessels are?
You would know.
He would know. I should have talked to him. Normally I don't like to wear waterproof shoes because my feet stink really bad, and the waterproof shoes just never dry out. But in the cold or in the snow or something like that, that's where I'll make the exception, because your feet stay way warmer if they're dry. Also, another good thing for your hands is like the football player thing, where you put your hands in the thing on the front. That keeps them warm. That actually has a spot for hand warmers as well. So that's another option. Anything else to add about preparation?
Layers.
Just all the layers.
More and more layers. Yes.
Mhm.
Be an onion.
Stay inside under the covers.
That's my go-to strat.
Play
Okay,
Disc
That's
Golf
at least
Valley,
2 layers.
The next thing is your bag. You want to have a lot of towels in your bag, especially if your bag is coming from inside to outside. Your discs are going to have condensation on them. So, and it just seems like nothing ever dries out when it's that wet out, when it's that cold. So make sure to have plenty of towels so you can dry everything off. As far as which discs you're going to throw, some people find more success with the grippier plastic like Biofusion or Prime or the classic plastic, just because it's a little bit more porous. It's a little bit easier to get a grip on. I still throw my Lucid X. I just dry it off really well, but some people prefer to have the more grippier. They'll just lean towards those discs in their bag, not necessarily swapping them out.
Yeah.
Also, when it's cold out, I don't tend to throw as hard. I try to disc up and then power down, which doesn't necessarily make as much sense. But like if I normally have to hammer on a verdict or an EMAC to get to a hole, I'll throw a getaway at like 80% and it'll get the same shot. And then I don't have to throw as hard. So it's not going to be, if the tee pads are icy or slick, I'm not going to slip as much or something like that. It's just easier to do that. And because the air is a little bit denser, your discs are actually going to fly a little bit less overstable. Sorry, I'm checking my notes just to make sure, because cold air is denser than warm air, so it's like a lower elevation. So the discs are going to fly just a little bit less overstable, but when it's cold out, we usually don't throw as hard. So generally it's not as big of a difference as you'd expect. And then the last thing is your game. Like I talked about earlier, you don't want to throw as hard when you're on icy or slick tee pads. That's the easiest way to avoid slipping, is just don't throw as hard, because then you won't be putting as much weight into your brace. I don't know if it's a good idea necessarily to play with like an ideal score in your head or something that you're going for, but if you're doing that and it's adverse conditions, just lower your expectations. So I guess raise your score, because it could be really easy to be like, oh, I always birdie this hole. But when there's a foot of snow on the ground and you miss it, it's not as bad, just because everyone has to play in the same conditions. And mental game is definitely very important in the cold as well. It's almost more of the battle is just who can stick it out and stay positive the whole time rather than letting the cold. Now, instead of all that, if you want a different option, you could be Tony Shirley and put like a camping propane heater on the back of your cart.
Ooh, yeah.
And then you're just set. Then
if
you're
you get
fine.
hungry
And
you
he
just
lives
start
in
grilling.
Texas.
Genius.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you need.
Excellent.
Those
And
are
I do
my
like
tips.
that. I do like the one thing that you said that to keep in mind is the disking up, because that's helped so many times throw a lot of more understable stuff, because it seems to go a little bit further and you don't have to rip it quite as hard, because you're throwing that hard in winter conditions, cold conditions, you can definitely bring injuries into play. And one other thing I like to do is a little bottle of hot damn if it's not a PDGA sanctioned event. It'll get you a little warm, get a little toasty out there.
Little pro tip there.
Yeah.
Insider
Excellent.
information.
Yes. Thank you so much, Danny. I will give you a Zoom thumbs up.
Oh, wonderful.
There you go. Good job.
Never got
Good
one of
job.
those. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's get back into the questions. This one
Technically, you
is
gave it to yourself because it's on your screen,
because
Oh.
right? So
I hired him, so he did a good
Oh.
job. So
Bobby
go
did a
me.
good job telling Danny.
if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here, kid.
It's a good point. I'd be.
pat myself on the back here. All right, this one is from Chris, and it's on replacing discs with dynamic discs. What is up, guys? Big fan of the show. Keep doing what you're doing. I've only been playing disc golf since the middle of this year and have really improved my game since then. I am a Dynamic Discs and others companies associated with the company, Westside and Latitude 64. I would like to replace some of my other discs with dynamic discs. What dynamic discs, Westside discs, or Latitude 64 discs would you recommend for the discs I have listed?
It's a lot
You
of
ready?
discs.
A lot of discs.
Ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Prodigy 400G X out M3, which I can throw pretty straight.
Truth.
I was gonna say truth or an EMAC, yeah.
Boom. Discraft Jawbreaker Challenger, which I can consistently get 150 on a straight line.
Eco EMAC Judge coming soon.
Boom. Innova Champion TL3.
Probably a Lucid X Maverick.
Or a Opto Explorer.
There you go. MVP Cosmic Neutron Wave that I can get a straight line. I can get a straight key line. I think it just means straight line. Very consistently.
Hang on, let me go to dynamicdiscs.com for this one and click on the little tab that says compare discs. It's on the top right of the website, and then you can type in a disc from any brand.
Yeah, I was going to go to that afterwards if one of you hadn't done
Yeah.
that yet.
It looks like a Latitude 64 Havoc. Looks to
Havoc?
be a pretty apt comparison. If you would like a slightly more overstable disc, you can go to a Sheriff. A slightly more understable disc, you can go to a Bolt. And that's all found at dynamicdiscs.com on the disc finder disc comparison tool.
Hashtag plug.
Hashtag
And then the last one is Innova Champion Starfire.
Felon?
Starfire?
It's a little faster. I would say like a Fortress, maybe.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
Cool. So yeah, there you go. Who was it, Chris? There's some information for you. But if you are looking for this, if you have this type of question, we do have a new disc finder tool, like Danny suggested. Dynamicdisc.com in the upper right, you'll see take a test and
Take a
then compare
test.
and then compare discs.
Mhm.
On the app, you have to go to the three little hamburgers or the three menu line, and then you
3
tap that.
hamburgers.
Well, no, it's one hamburger.
It's a hamburger menu. Yeah.
And then when you tap on that,
Hamburger?
then you'll see the links to be able to do the compare discs. So check that out, guys. All right, next one comes from Ryan. Ooh, this is on PDGA tournament rules. Ready?
Oh,
Yep.
Hey guys, love the show. Special shout out to Robert. You're my fave. No offense, Bobby and Eric. You guys are cool too. Well, Robert's not even here anymore, so
I'll
we'll
take credit.
take the special shout out.
yeah. We can split it 25%.
Yeah, there we go. No, 30, and then you guys.
You got to do the math.
many-
You gotta do the math if you want the 30, bro.
All right, we're back to 25.
Okay, cool.
Like many disc golfers, I love watching tournament coverage of the top players. I've recently noticed Dickerson's custom dyed discs with the Super Mario Shroom and Star. This has gotten me thinking to custom dye some discs for myself and to give away as gifts. My question is, are dyed discs considered illegal for PDGA sanctioned tournament play? I know PDGA Rule 813.01b covers modifying discs' flight characteristics and thickness are deemed illegal. I'm sure these rules are to prevent players from attaching magnets to their putters and are not really geared toward dyed discs. But the rules as written are very vague. What if someone dyed their discs with something distasteful? I personally would like to see more specifications from PDGA and explicitly stating throwed dyed discs are okay. But what are your guys' opinions?
So the limitation on 813 is anything painted with a material of detectable thickness. So if you can like measure how thick something is, like a sticker or paint or something like that, then it's illegal. The reason that dyes are okay is because they soak into the plastic, and so that they don't actually add any thickness there.
Or weight. Yeah.
Or weight, yeah. Sometimes when you dye a disc, if you do like a dip dye in water and the water's really hot, you can make a disc flat. But I've seen that happen before. I don't necessarily know if that's
some
against
hot
the
water.
rules. Yeah. Okay, I didn't mean to, but I definitely did that at one point. But yeah, it's
Put your disc in boiling water, Danny.
I did, yeah. I don't know that it's technically illegal for that, but yeah, it's just something to watch out for. As far as what's dyed on the disc, I don't know there's any limitation there.
I don't think there is, but I mean, I've seen some pretty tasteless things on discs dyed before, and yeah, I don't know that the PDGA can come out and make any rules that say
I wonder if
can't do that.
I wonder if like depending on what it is, if it's like if the TD could step in, or if there's some like
Or a courtesy
could you
violation.
give a courtesy violation
Yeah.
for that, right? But then what happens after you give them the courtesy warning and then nothing? Like I'm not sure because if you showed up with a T-shirt that had something inappropriate on it, then I'm sure the TD could be like, "Hey man, you have to change your shirt or something." Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some clarification on that type stuff. Well, I mean, hopefully not, but
I mean,
maybe just
courtesy
to avoid
says
it in the future.
courtesy rule says a player must not engage in a distracting or unsportsmanlike actions, such as, it gives examples, but like, I don't know if you could count that as distracting.
Depends on what it is, Danny.
That's a good point.
I think it's because it's so subjective that the rule would have to be in play if the person who is offended by the image would then have to say that is distracting. If that makes sense. In other words, if someone, let's say someone walks up with a T-shirt and has something, let's just put it out there, sexually explicit, right? It may offend out of the three other people on your card, it may offend only one person. And until that one person says anything, then the TD doesn't really say anything because it hasn't distracted anybody yet until you've said that's a distraction. Now that may be a weird example, saying something sexually explicit, or it could be anything that is offensive. But then again, it's up to the TD's discretion, I would say. I don't know. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
He also talked, I don't know if you talked about this, but how do we feel about like copyrighted things on discs? I think technically it's okay as long as you're not selling the disc. If you're just doing it for like yourself or for a buddy or something like that, But as soon as you start selling things that have copyrighted images on it, then there's trouble for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I would guess it depends on how protected that image is. I mean, like the Super Mario thing, I suppose if Nintendo, whoever the parent company is, wanted to make a big deal of it, it's Mario. I
It's
suppose
him
if
and
Mario,
It's actually Luigi.
Luigi,
Yeah.
Luigi's the business part of it.
Sure.
It's
He's the
literally
brains.
Bowser. The CEO of Nintendo's name is Doug Bowser.
So
Perfect.
we seem to have gotten
Is he a
lost.
turtle?
We've seemed to have gotten lost where I was going with this. But if they wanted to make a big deal, I suppose they could. But of course, they're not going to chase all these different rabbits or down the rabbit hole on this type of stuff. Just like the whole thing of, someone could argue, well, I've seen dye that's pretty thick and it adds, or the whole heating up the disc, that changes the flight of the disc, right? But we're not going to, what are we going to do? We're going to call you Eric McCabe. I saw Eric McCabe heating up his bounty because it was warped and he wanted to get back to his thing. Yeah. And so, but then how do you
throw a bounty?
But how do you
okay.
prove it?
Yeah. I mean, I do carry a hairdryer with me.
So, yeah.
So, what's to say that the difference is from that as opposed to just leaving your disc out in a field accidentally and it's baked by the sun, you come back and it's warped.
Right.
Or just throwing it down the street.
That too, or somebody's had a disc for years and it's all bacon top on
or
top.
Someone's head or something,
That too, yeah.
All right, next question comes from Brad. Course specific rules. Hi guys, there has been some disagreement among my local group of players. Shout out to the CKMDGA, the Sycamore. My home course has sand bunkers on a number of the holes.
Pardon me?
I figured he would spell it out for me what CKMDGA stands for, so I'm just going to put it together for him. The chicken coop.
It's off to a good start.
It's not how you spell chicken coop, Bobby.
It is wherever they're from, so
all right.
I have no idea.
Look, they can call their club whatever they want to call it, okay?
Anyway, back to the question. My home course has sand bunkers on a number of the holes. The rules specifically state that if you land in the bunker, you must throw the disc with your thumb on the underside of the disc.
So upside down.
Well, not
is this
necessarily.
type of rule legitimate? I've heard of sand trap hazards where you either take a stroke penalty and throw it from where it lies or just treat the hazard as OB. Is a thumb on the underside of the disc throw a valid way to add difficulty to a course? If the rule isn't valid, how should the bunkers be played? Some in our group have been just doing normal throws from the bunkers with no penalty stroke. I feel like this violates the spirit of the bunkers as they were clearly put in place to make the course more difficult. Is it okay for individuals or group to choose to ignore the rule? If we don't all play the same way, our scores aren't comparable. Please help us settle our dispute. I mean, if it's like casual rounds, then that's whatever the rule is. That's whatever the rules of that round is.
Yeah, that's 100% just a house rules thing for your club.
At a sanctioned event, that's never going to fly.
No. Yeah,
Unless
in a
it's
sanctioned event.
If it's what?
USDGC, where they have those.
Oh, where they have
rules.
Yeah, I think the normal.
There's a couple different ways to play bunkers.
At USDGC, they just play it where it lies and you add a stroke, right?
They don't technically have bunkers at USD, like sand bunkers. Like they have the beach hole.
Well, sure,
but they call them bunkers. They call them bunkers. And I think they play it, you play it where you play it as it lies with a stroke penalty, I believe is how they do.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of bunkers just you throw it from where it is, but by nature of it being in sand, your footing is going to be terrible. And that's kind of a punishment for being in there.
And I liked that concept, but I think disc golf is doing it wrong by putting all these bunkers right by greens.
Yeah.
I'd rather see bunkers in the middle of fairways that are larger, that you have to make that decision of, am I going to lay up in front of it or am I going to try to blast over it? And if not, I've still got like 300 feet into the green from that bunker. So your footing is going to be awkward in that regard. I think I'd rather see it that way with no stroke. You're just going to have awkward footing, from specific distances into the green, not just right by, like Las Vegas comes to mind as a course that comes to mind with a lot of bunkers on it. And in Emporia, how we play bunkers is it's just out of bounds. We just paint an OB line around it and it's just normal OB. I know places like Vegas, they have a lot of baskets that are kind of on a little bit of a mound. And if you miss the putt, there's a good chance you're rolling into a bunker, which is, I believe they've played it both ways, but I think that they play it like they did at USDGC where it's a stroke penalty, but you play from where it lies.
Mhm.
I would rather see it no stroke, but more fairway bunkers as opposed to around the greens.
Hmm.
There you go. Anthony is now, we have knighted him as the new squad leader. Do you swear your allegiance to squad leader in the family?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So he is now the squad leader, and he wanted to do a
Jeez.
special squad member shout out. What do you got for us, Anthony?
Yeah. So this time I wanted to find one of our highest ranking members of the squad. And so this week we're going to be shouting out Nate Kidwell. He's part of the commander tier. So he has completed more tasks and more challenges than most everyone else. And I sent one out asking people what their New Year's resolution is. And Nate's was very simple. This year, his goal is to throw over 400 feet.
Nice.
Very simple. It seems to be a very common benchmark for people, is like just to get over that barrier, just to say that you did it. So hopefully you can get there, Nate. And if you need any help along the way, discgolfanswerman.com, send your questions in. And that guy, and I think Danny's over here. That guy. Oh, okay. Just that guy then.
Mhm.
You're actually,
Can,
yeah. On me, you need to point out.
No, I had to
Oh.
get through doors, so I let all the knowledge out of my head.
I was just pointing at myself.
Oh.
Mhm.
I didn't need to apply. No, yeah. If you have any questions, or if anyone else, obviously send them in, and we'll help you get there. Hope you can get that 400-foot mark.
Excellent. Why don't you explain to people real quick, just in case they don't know what exactly is squad?
It's basically a way for you to become my minion, and I
Oh,
can.
nice. You finally figured out a way.
Yes, I've
Pop
done it. No, it's kind of like it's almost like a super fan club, where you can send in pictures, review some products, review things like that, and then you get a little kickback for it as well, whether that be some free products, chance of being shouted out on Disc Golf Answer Man, some discounts on things like that, some chances to be featured on the website in some ad campaigns that we're doing. So it's kind of a way to interact and get to know Dynamic Discs as a whole, just a little bit more in depth than things like Disc Golf Answer Man, Facebook, YouTube, stuff like that would provide. So yeah, it's squad.dynamicdiscs.com. If you're not already a member, you can go there and create your account and get yourself started.
Excellent.
I'm sold.
I'll make
All right.
sure that you're sold by the end of the day, Dan.
Right. All right, let's answer a few more questions, and then Anthony's going to talk about the Dynamic Discs Enforcer. First, let's talk about the Felon Light from LD. I'm not even going to try his last name. Wait, no, I am. Kristen Nartator.
Can you
That's
spell
it.
it for us?
I'm done. KRISTINARDOTTIR. And the I's and the O's have the umla or whatever it's called over it.
I think it's an umlaut.
Umlaut. You're out. Hey there, Rob, Bob, and
Later, guys.
Tony, and
Peace.
maybe Dahl and EMAC too. I live in an area where the average wind speed outside the summer months is in excess of 15 miles an hour, with 20 to 25 miles per hour days very common. Something I think you may empathize with. Yes.
Emporia, Kansas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that where you live?
For those
Crazy.
times that I have a strong headwind drive, I have a Lucid X Felon, which is great if I need a shot to hyzer in any wind. But I find that with my 300 to 350 foot of power, it is too overstable for some shots.
It's a lot of units.
I know. Even in the strongest headwinds. My question is this: if I want a headwind driver that I can make go somewhat straight, would my best bet be going with a faster, straighter disc like the Sergeant, going with a slower, similar stability disc like a Lucid Justice, or just getting the Felon Infusion or Biofusion fusion? Oh, he's got a little poem for you, EMAC.
Oh.
Wondering how it flew, I grabbed an EMAC and threw. It was straight, it was true. Thank you for all you do.
No. You're welcome.
So what do you guys think on this question?
He's showing EMAC truth.
Naturally.
I mean,
So it's the disc isn't going far enough in a headwind because the Lucid X Felon was too overstable. He wants something that'll be a little bit straighter in the headwind.
Yeah, I need a shot to hyzer in any wind, but I find that with my 350 feet of power, it is too overstable for some shots, even in the strongest headwinds.
I would say Lucid Felon is a pretty like a decent step down from Lucid X.
That's what I was going to say. What Anthony's doing down there.
Also, what Anthony says.
Is this a
Oh,
segue?
That's
Wow.
a segue into
Where
dynamic
did that come
discs,
from?
Anthony disc review.
Oh my gosh, how did that get there?
I agree, though. I think the regular Felon is because if you like the way the X Felon feels, you're gonna like just the regular old Felon too, and it's just gonna be a little bit straighter. So,
Or the Sergeants are not a bad choice either. Sergeants are they're pretty beefy. They're not like gonna flip all the way over. They will be a little bit straighter.
what about a
Noticeably
Lucid
straighter than a
X?
Lucid
What about a
X.
Lucid X Sergeant?
That'd be
cool.
sick. But there's no way we're ever gonna see those, right?
I don't know. Maybe you should call Paige and ask her.
Who knows? Maybe it should be leaked somewhere.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wait, what?
Wait, I'm sorry, huh?
So talk about the Enforcer, Anthony.
Yeah.
It would be like a much faster Lucid X Sergeant if those were to ever be a thing, possibly. Yeah. So if you're not familiar, the Enforcer is, for me at least, it's our most overstable distance driver. The numbers for those of you that do go by them, Bobby, are speed 12, glide 4, turn of a positive 0.5, and a fade of 4. This was not set up. It just was the perfect question to lead into this for, I would say, probably all 4 of us. Maybe you don't anymore, Danny, but I think all 4 of us put these in our bag on windy days. I went and played on Sunday, and I don't normally carry an Enforcer, and the Enforcer was my most thrown disc on Sunday because it was 30-mile-an-hour winds. It's incredibly dependable backhand and sidearm. For how overstable it is, it still goes far. So if you're looking for, like this last question was, distance in a headwind, the Enforcer is absolutely the disc that I'm going to recommend. If you're like the I forget who it was that asked, but if you're throwing 350 feet, you can throw an Enforcer into a headwind and you will be fine. You'll get distance, you'll get a hyzer finish, and you don't have to worry about it flipping over. It's a really solid disc, extremely reliable, and yeah, you definitely are going to want to check one out if you need hyzers, spike hyzers, winds, force shots, anything like that. Enforcer's the way to go for sure.
Excellent.
I believe an Enforcer was my very first dynamic disc that I ever had.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's that. I don't know if you can see. It's the orange one on the wall behind me. One of those old Biofusions, the orange one.
Oh, nice. Those are
Ooh.
good.
Yeah.
I have one of those in my bag still.
Yeah.
From when I first put that in my bag. I remember it was at the VPO, and I needed it.
doesn't
And I threw it on almost every hole because it was windy.
Nice.
Very cool. All right, next question comes from Mr. 2Mac. Not 1Mac, but 2Mac. It's on course design. I am working on creating a proposal for my school district asking to utilize just over 2 acres of land that is currently unused at our high school campus to install some disc golf baskets. The land is very flat with about 10 mature trees. My questions are about how many holes do you think we could accommodate within the space without worrying about students continuously getting hit with discs? Additionally, do you have any tips for approaching a school board with a proposal? I've rediscovered my enjoyment of disc golf over quarantine and want to grow the sport locally. I think a course on my campus would be great for kids. Thanks for the great show. And of course, keep it real. So how many courses could he fit on 2 acres of land that is unused by a high school campus?
Courses?
I'm sorry, how many courses? How many holes?
About 12. No,
12 courses.
yeah.
Just putt.
2 acres of land. Well, did it say where he was from, Bobby, or do you have that information?
I do not have that information.
Okay.
No.
It kind of depends on what those 2 acres look like.
His address, just to interrupt you, his address has tx.us in it. So I'm wondering that's a Texas school.
Yeah, it's probably Texas education type. Yeah. That doesn't help because I don't know what part of Texas. But either way,
fair.
if it's super wooded, then you can fit a lot more holes in it, obviously. But if it's just like a couple acres is all you have, my suggestion is, remind me, was it what kind of school is this? Do you know?
It's like a middle school, right?
Middle school, elementary school, high school? I mean, there's
Unused at our high school campus.
high school.
Okay.
I think he said there was 10 trees.
And it was, very flat with about 10 mature trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't hear that part. So. Okay, 2 acres with about 10 trees. Well, you're going to have a pretty short course regardless of what you do. But my suggestion is just to kind of maybe do if you can get 3 holes, just relatively short 3 holes, they don't have to be very far. You can have a couple different teen areas to those 3 baskets, and you can have a 6-hole course technically. When if you have 3 baskets in a field that are kind of strategically placed throughout the campus, and 2 different tee pads per hole, you can utilize shorts and longs and all that. And obviously, I don't know what the school property looks like as far as students utilizing the field or the quote park, whatever, however, because you did make a mention that your concern was high school kids walking around and not getting hit with discs. So maybe keep it around the parameter of the property and obviously avoid high traffic areas. But with 2 acres, you don't want to go too crazy with it, because you definitely want to have open areas for other people to utilize as well. You don't want to just take over the whole spot. So I would say 2 or 3 holes is probably going to be your max, and I think that's great. You don't even necessarily need holes on a high school campus. If you just have a couple baskets, that's fantastic. People can just kind of putt around on them and make up their own holes, so I've seen a lot of that at, like we'd mentioned earlier, on courses here in town or schools here in town that have 1, 2, or 3 baskets, just like on the playground or somewhere on the property that the kids can utilize. So my suggestion is just a short 3-hole course that you can just let the kids have fun throwing some discs.
Nice. All right. Next one is from Zach, and this is on Team Series disc colors. Is the color palette going to change this next season for Team Series discs? I love the molds, but the colors weren't exactly my style. I would love some warmer colors like orange, red, and yellow, especially in that awesome Chameleon X plastic.
Ooh, that's the problem. That's the problem with Chameleon.
Yeah.
Chameleon is kind of like purple, blues, and teals. That kind of change. I think there might have been some like pink ones too, but the pink Chameleon didn't really like have that true Chameleon feel to it, because it didn't really like super Chameleon change colors. Yeah. So yeah, you will see with Tour Series discs this year a little bit of a change on some things. So, you're going to see a couple things that are the same, and then a couple new blends that are going to be very exciting. Just keep that in mind.
Do you have any kind of timeline on that? I know we have a lot of things we're trying to catch up on, but
I know that a lot of them are either in transit. I think most of them are in transit right now for the first runs. I know version 2 is supposed to release somewhere around DDO.
Okay.
So that's kind of a good timeline for you.
Gotcha. All right. This next one is from Craig. Hello, CDSB and friends. I'm a huge fan of the show, your YouTube channel, and Trilogy Plastic. A lot of Trilogy discs have taken over other very similar discs. Think Thunderbird and Getaway, Firebird, Felon, Explorer, T-Bird, etc. This is possible with many brands, as I feel discs fall into types very often that people carry. Everyone has a zone clone, for example. For me, it's a Justice. So my question is, what is the single most unique Trilogy disc? One that is closest to its own niche that other brands don't have anything like, whether it be in the mold shape, flight, or any other aspect of the disc. I think this is a fun question and would love to hear your opinions. Thank you so much for all that you do for me, my game, and the community. Keep it real. So I would say that because of this is my first thought, and it may be incorrect, is that there's so many different variations of the way people throw that you're going to find somebody that says, oh, that's just like or that's similar. Whereas somebody else might say, I could see that. But to me, it's more like a this, and this.
Yeah. Like he said, Thunderbird is a Getaway. Well, the Thunderbird's flatter and fades a little bit harder than the Getaway. Right. Or like Felon is a Firebird. Felon holds a little bit straighter, doesn't fade quite as strong as a Firebird. So it's like there's also restrictions on what you can do with a disc. Like size wise and all that for the feel of it, not necessarily the flight of it, but for the feel of it, at least for that portion of the question, there's really not. I mean, if you come out with something that's super unique that nobody else has, guess what? Nobody probably wants it. That's a good point.
Kind of like the Groove comes to mind, or the Wheel. Remember the Wheel?
Yeah.
That was the disc, wheel. Or the Turbo Putt was another one that had looked like a saw blade.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's just not
10 meter brick.
So yeah, that's another one. So I think all 3 of those came from the same company too.
To answer his questions though, he said that Justice is a zone clone, and I would hard
Mhm.
disagree with that. A zone
Yeah.
is like a putter, but it's very overstable. A justice is like an angry child smashing a disc into the ground.
Okay.
That's kind of, it just dives into the ground right away. It has a very unique feel. It does pretty much what no other disc does, where it's very overstable, doesn't care about anything. I would say the Justice
agree.
is the most unique disc.
What
I
did
would
someone? I read. I remember when we first came out, and someone said, "Man, this thing is so overstable. As soon as I throw it, I got a bruised left toe."
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty accurate.
I think the harp is closer to a zone.
Yeah.
The harp and the suspect are definitely closer to zones, I think.
Another somewhat unique disc could probably be, I guess.
Oh, the EMAC
Sergeant?
Truth. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
so
the EMAC
good.
Truth.
Nothing like it. Soon to be EMAC judge too, guys.
Yeah.
I think like one that I don't know, at least in my experience, I feel like I've thrown more discs than probably most or than the average disc golfer. And before it came out, I had not thrown a disc like the Maverick. I hadn't thrown anything where I could throw it flat and it just went straight and it didn't deviate really left or right. And it would still go that far. It flies like a putter, but it's a fairway driver. It just goes, 350 feet on a rope. I think I would still say the Justice is more unique, but I think the Maverick at least is in the conversation for me.
Nice.
This next one comes from Dustin. I've joined the disc golf scene in October of this year, which is 2020 when he wrote this. Since I've joined, I started listening to the podcast, and boy, has it helped me. So glad we could be of help for you, Dustin.
Q.
With that being said, I'm looking to throw only DD since I enjoy the podcast so much. Appreciate that as well. Any tips on choosing discs? Will make a full bag, of course. Just like we mentioned earlier, go to dynamicdisc.com, look for that take a test. Does it say just take the test? Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll answer a few questions and you can kind of go through that and see what different discs it would suggest for you. I would suggest you do that because you're going to hear all kinds of different suggestions from all of us. So also I'm working with the local college to get a small disc golf course set up. Do you have any pointers on this that would help make it beneficial? I would say contact Eric McCabe at Eric McCabe.
Eric McCabe, my alter ego. He drinks a lot of beer.
Yeah, McCabe at coursesales@dynamicdiscs.com.
Yes.
I'm trying to imagine EMAC doing a keg stand. I just can't.
Thank you, Danny.
I mean, college. Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah. This morning.
He says, I live in a pretty good area for disc golf, 10-minute drive from Disc Side of Heaven where the Pro Tour stops by. Any information is great. Yeah. Thanks for the podcast. You're welcome.
I bet you he goes to A State.
Yeah, I would definitely email us and
we definitely have some knowledge, and I know that the gentleman that sent in the question before about the high school campus had also asked about how to approach the board. One thing that I would suggest is make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you do that, and make sure you have the majority of the questions answered. And the number one question that they're going to ask you is, how much is this going to cost? So reach out to us, coursesales@dynamicdisc.com, and we'll get you that information.
Excellent. So that's all the time we have for the questions. But one of the things I really like about working with everybody is they come up with all kinds of great ideas and sometimes not so great ideas. But we are idea thinkers. And I know Danny comes up with a lot of ideas, but so much so that I thought, what if we could talk about them on the podcast? So this is a new segment we're going to try out, and we're going to hear out. It's kind of, think of it like as The Pitch. There's actually a podcast called The Pitch. Mm-hmm. Think of it as like Shark Tank, right? Me, Anthony, and Eric McCabe are the bajillionaires.
Nice.
Naturally, of course.
I'm cashing out.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.
And Danny is the wannabe entrepreneur wanting to start a business or something to do with disc golf. And so we're going to hear out his ideas and talk them through and see if we would support him in any way. So, Danny, what pitch do you have for us?
I've got a few. I think we probably have enough time for like 3, right?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got time.
Okay. The first one is we have air plastic already, right? The idea behind air plastic is to make lighter discs so that they're easier to get up to speed. But what says that what's inside the bubbles in a disc needs to be air? What if we made helium discs? These would be discs that they have they're filled with helium in the bubbles instead of the air. So they're actually lighter than air. And then you could just set a distance record by just throwing in a tailwind, and the disc would go, ideally forever. Obviously, it's eventually going to hit something, and that's where your shot is. So I think it creates a really cool like risk reward thing, because if you don't know when it's going to land, you obviously don't know where it's going to land. So it's like risky if you're going to pull it out. I'm a huge fan of this helium plastic idea.
Helium.
Mhm.
Also, you don't have to worry about throwing in water anymore because there's a good chance it's going to float.
Oh,
It's not even going to land in the water. It's just going to sit
If
there.
it gets there.
Yeah, it'll just float in the air.
it's gonna fly over.
Downside is in a headwind, it's just going to fly behind you, obviously.
Yes.
And logistically, I don't know. They'd probably have to like fill the warehouse with exclusively helium whenever they made them. So that might, make everybody sound kind of goofy.
Or we put shelves and employees on the ceiling.
That's another option for sure.
Interesting.
What you asking
Mhm.
for on this helium deal?
On the helium deal, I don't know. I'm not a logistics guy. I'm mainly just an idea kind of guy,
I will give you your $10,000 for 33%. $1 for every disc you sold in Oh, I watched too much Shark Tank. Sorry. I'm trying to be Mr. Wonderful.
I throw in a lot
You're
of
being too
Headwind.
nice then. You need to be a lot meaner.
So what do you think? Helium discs, you think they'd work?
What if the helium runs out? I mean, we all see balloons that float up in the air and then they end up coming back down. I mean, I think after a while, the helium is going to disappear and it won't be of any benefit.
At that point, they've already bought the disc. So like we've already made our money.
That dollar's not
dang.
We're
expiring.
good. Also, like if from a business standpoint, they're probably going to lose a lot more discs too, because they just keep going. And so then we just make more money because we say buy them again because they're like, oh, it's a new distance record. Why not?
I
Be
got you.
interested to see what would happen.
Okay. Alternatively,
let's
there's
go.
another thing. I'll save it for another time.
Most times they on Shark Tank they have the product, so
Oh yeah.
they
No,
bring
Right.
like a sample.
no, I don't have any. I'm just an idea guy.
All right, let's do a quick super chats before you go to the next pitch. We had Ace
Okay.
Run Productions give us a $4.99. He said, just because it's been a while, thanks, fella. We appreciate Ace Run Productions. $5 from ATL Paintballer 36. Question on backhand throws. I'm trying to find a comfortable grip. I use a power grip with my index finger that rests on the rim, not tucked under it.
You kind of want to pinch the disc between your thumb and your index finger so that it pivots out of your hand. So that's why you'll see most people not have their finger on the rim. You could just pull your thumb back to where it's over your other finger, but that's not going to be very comfortable. And your pointer finger is kind of in the way of the throw at that point. So I think that's why you see most people power grip, because they can pinch the disc better.
Boom. There you go. 888 Huskers wants to know, Danny, how about sulfur hexafluoride discs?
I don't exactly remember what sulfur hexafluoride is. I'm pretty sure that's the one that makes your voice really low.
I think that's the super heavy one. Yes. So
Super
your
heavy
discs
one.
just-
That's actually good segue. Lead discs. Next idea. Okay. They have to be a certain amount of plastic, but then the rest is just lead, right? So they're super heavy. They're not gonna fly in any wind whatsoever. And like, the videos of people like at GBO when they're like, or DDO when they're like 5 feet away from the basket and they just can't tap in because their discs blow away. Lead disc, problem solved.
I think it's too limited of a market.
All right, moving on. Next big idea. Okay. I don't know if you guys have
Okay,
ever
I
hold
was
on.
seen
just saying that's an outright dumb idea. I was just trying to make it.
Hold on.
No,
Because
that
as
was a
someone
dumb
that-
idea.
Would you
As
use it
someone
more of
that-
a training tool?
I,
Or
Yeah,
a
there-
paper, or to keep your door open. I mean,
Yeah.
it could work.
Let's hear it, Anthony. What are you saying?
I just played disc golf in 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I would not have been mad if I just had a disc that I could do this with, and it just went 20 feet and just dropped. Because there were many times where I did not know what to do in that situation.
right.
Sign me up.
Oh, okay. You got Anthony on
Also,
board.
I
like
got an
forget the whole
investor.
like poisonous lead.
It's going to be hard to keep those lead discs
Yeah.
under the suggested or mandatory weight limits as well.
right.
Forget it.
So
We
now
just
we're
missed a
smuggling
decimal
discs.
point. Sorry.
Got it. Okay.
The decimal point in the wrong spot.
Are you ready for the next idea?
All right. What
Are we
else
ready?
you got?
Okay. This next idea is for roller shots are inherently like unpredictable. We've all thrown rollers and they've gone horribly well, horribly wrong. There's not a lot of difference in between how we throw them. It's just the result at the end. What if we took that variance out, right? So we had a specific disc that was dedicated to a roller. And after you threw it out of your pocket, you pulled a remote control and like had like the antenna on the back. And so you could steer it the direction that you wanted. It would still only go the same distance as hard as you threw it. And obviously if you try to turn it too hard, it'll lose speed. So there's like a skill threshold there, but it's got like some sort of gyroscope in it or something like that. So you can steer it the direction that you want. I think a lot of people are really going to like this idea. especially for like getting out of trouble. You throw a little flick roller and then just turn it towards the basket. Because how many times does it go up and then roll away?
Do we get to control it the whole time, or do we just get to make one correction?
No,
Like,
you
if
get
it
to
starts
control it the
veering
whole
right.
time.
Oh yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, it's like those car. You ever seen a gas powered remote control?
I'm
car where it
birdieing
goes like,
everything.
I mean, yeah, if everybody has it, it's fair.
It is, but
Exactly.
can I play defense? Like,
Oh,
There's
yes.
an
Can I throw at
idea.
the same time and
Yes.
like crash into somebody?
there you go.
There we go.
Full contact disc golf.
That's when I'm all in.
Mhm.
Like drone
Are you-
races.
Imagine you're playing out
Yes.
at day law and your disc comes in the land and somebody comes up like it just sends it down the hill.
Bye.
Oh yeah.
Imagine the trick shots you could do too. I mean, you could.
Oh,
like,
sick.
really-
Yeah,
Oh.
people don't need to see the controller for those either. You can like just turn around or like stand behind the camera or whatever.
You can almost condense it into a one-hand controller, so you just kind of have it down to the side, and you just
Make it
kinda
an app.
Okay.
Just kind of like doing this.
Make it a
controlling
phone app. Put it on the cloud.
Imagine this. Somebody like Paul and Eagle are battling it out, right? Paul's beating him by like a few strokes, throws his roller, and then just gives the controller to Eagle and is like, "Here, I'm still going to beat you." How sick
Oh,
would that
The
be?
ultimate power move. I love it.
I'm in. I'm
Wow.
so in for this. I'm so in for this.
Somebody in chat asked, "How would the mechanics make it move?" I'm really more of just an idea guy.
It's true.
Is that
I'm
your
really-
default?
I'm not really worried about that. Yeah, there's
Somebody
yeah.
will figure that out.
Somebody else wants rollers eliminated. This just levels the playing field.
Yeah.
I like rollers. I think rollers are just fun.
Mhm. Good risk reward, and this just makes the risk reward.
Adam says, "Why not have the controller work when it's flying too?"
Nah, it wouldn't work.
That's cheating.
No, it's too
That's so unreal. That's impossible.
What's the point of even throwing
the
it then?
mechanics. Yeah. I'm really just more of an idea guy.
Make sure your discs are charged before you show up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got like a USB port on it.
Is that what those disc chargers are for?
Yes.
That's what it is. They're secretly working on that project to make your roller.
For 10 years.
Mhm.
All right. So that's all the pitches you have, Danny.
Yep. So if you enjoyed this segment, we're gonna have a Google form that I'll put out on the Disc Golf Fantasy Man Facebook page. If you have more ideas for definitely great ideas, things that definitely should happen in disc golf, you can find it there and let me know what they are, and maybe they'll get on the show.
Excellent. All right. One more reminder, guys. If you're subscribed here on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time we put out a video. If you're not subscribed, why aren't you? Hit that subscribe button so you'll see all our videos. If you're listening, happen to be listening to this audio and you haven't subscribed to us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app, please do so. We appreciate it. Also, if you are go to iTunes, or now it's the music store, leave us. Well, no, there's a podcast app specifically. So try to leave us a review. We would love to hear from you with the reviews. Yes, we have a bunch of stuff coming out from the players. Some in the bags, some condensed in the bags that kind of gives you an update on some of the discs they're going to be relying on for the 2021 season. We have a duel that we filmed out here. So some exciting stuff coming up for you as well. Any parting words, gentlemen? All
Nope.
right.
All right.
Did you say party words?
Parting.
Like woohoo?
Like,
no.
I was gonna-
like keg.
Okay. All right, guys. We will see you on the next episode.